Ever feel like you're fighting a battle inside your own head? Well, today we're going to dig into a really powerful idea. What if you could stop fighting your thoughts and instead completely redesign your internal world to build real, lasting resilience? Let's explore how.
So let's just start with the core question. When things get stressful, are you just along for the ride, kind of swept away by it all? Or are you in the driver's seat? The whole idea we're exploring today argues that you can absolutely learn to take the wheel every single time.
But to get there, we first need to do a little reset. We have to completely rethink what mental strength even means. You know, a lot of us were taught that it's all about suppression, just pushing things down. But what if that's the very thing that's been holding us back?
And this is where it gets really interesting. It's all about a massive shift in perspective. The old myth says you got to bottle up your emotions to be strong. But the truth? Real resilience is about navigating those emotions with clarity. It's not about being stoic and indifferent either. The real goal is a purposeful response. It's this active, dynamic process, not just feeling nothing.
I love this analogy because it's so true. Your mind really is like an instrument. And if you just let it, it's going to play the same old songs on repeat. The worry song, the reaction song. But here's the thing. You get to choose the music. You can consciously decide to play a different tune. Internal peace isn't some prize you win. It's a skill you practice and cultivate.
Okay, so how do we actually choose a different song, especially when the old one is so loud? The key is found in this powerful concept called the gap. This is pretty much your secret weapon for taking back control. This is where all the magic happens.
Look at how this works. Step 1, something happens. A stressful email lands in your inbox, someone cuts you off in traffic. That's the stimulus. Now, your automatic, habitual brain wants to jump in and react instantly. But wait, right there, in that tiny space between the event and your reaction, that is the pause. That is your moment of power. It's your one opportunity to get off autopilot and consciously choose your response.
And get this is not just some nice metaphor. This is actual brain science. It's called neuroplasticity. Every single time you make that one conscious choice to pause, you are physically rewiring your brain. You're weakening those old reactive pathways and building a brand new superhighway for clarity and calm. You do it enough, and that becomes your new default.
So what's actually happening in that automatic reactive brain we're trying to interrupt? Well, a huge part of it is our mind telling us stories. And it's an amazing storyteller, but it almost always defaults to the worst-case scenario. So the next step is learning to see these stories for what they are by taming our inner storyteller.
This shows the difference perfectly. The objective fact is, I have a presentation tomorrow. That's it. That's what's real. The mental story is, I'm going to fail and everyone will think I'm incompetent. Or how about this one? The fact is, my boss sent a one-word email. The story? My boss is furious with me and I'm probably going to get fired. So much of our suffering comes from the catastrophic stories we tell ourselves, not the actual facts. The key is to just recognize, oh, that's just a story.
But look, just because it's a story doesn't mean the feelings aren't real. So what do you do with them? You don't ignore them. Instead, you practice what's called emotional alchemy. I love that phrase. It's all about turning your emotions from enemies you have to fight into allies, into helpful messengers that are just trying to give you some important information.
And a super practical way to do this is by simply relabeling the feeling. Seriously, check this out. That jittery feeling in your stomach before a big talk, that isn't nervousness, that's energy for your performance. That feeling of being totally stuck and annoyed, that's not frustration, that's a sign that you care deeply about what you're doing. And that fear, it's just a signal to prepare. When you change the label, you literally change the entire experience.
Now, when you start putting all this together, it leads to a really profound shift in your own identity. You start to see yourself not as your thoughts, but as the one who is observing your thoughts.
Think of it this way. Your thoughts, your feelings, your anxieties, all of that stuff is just the weather. You know? Storms come, clouds roll in, the sun comes out, it's all temporary. It's always changing. It's happening for sure, but it isn't the essence of who you are.
Because the ultimate truth here is this. You are not the fleeting storm. You are the vast, stable sky in which all that weather happens. And when you start to identify with the sky, you realize you don't have to be swept away by every single passing cloud.
So, this all leads to the final, crucial point. This isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. Building a resilient mind is a skill, and just like any skill, it takes consistent practice. It's a daily discipline.
And look, this doesn't have to be some huge, complicated thing. We're talking about small, daily practices. It's about actively asking your anxious thoughts, hey, are you even true? It's about taking 60 seconds in the morning to think about challenges and how you'll respond. It's as simple as catching a thought and just labeling it, story. These are the little reps that, when you do them consistently, build that muscle of resilience.
So we'll end with this. This entire practice, all of it, really just boils down to the power of a single intentional choice. It's the proof that you are the architect of your inner world. So the real question is, what one thought, what one response will you choose with intention today?